Hello everyone, we'll get started here momentarily. Okay, well hello everyone and welcome to this live stream. Today this is going live on the 4th of November. This is not about the video, this is about the audio. So if you're watching this, you'd like to help out with video, please get in touch. I'm glad that you all are here, and if you're watching this after the fact, I'm glad that you have done so. Welcome, and let's go ahead and get started. So, as I said, my name is Nimer, and this is sort of a tech chat that we do here weekly, and we tend to gather to watch the news or listen to the news or hear about whatever's going on during the week. Kirt and I usually do this, and we also talk about some kind of a topic, adventure-related, tech-related, travel-related, whatever it is that it might be that we just feel like talking about, or maybe things that you have for us to talk about. So this is what the purpose of this channel is, and if you'd like to come on live with us, you're more than welcome to do that. Just get in touch and let us know that, and there we go. So anyway, I'm glad that we're all here, and today we're going to have a few things that we're going to discuss. First of all, Kirt makes a reappearance from the dead. He did go skydiving, so we'll hear all about that. And we also hear about some news items, of course. We will hear about some information regarding a couple of apps. One of them is a battery app on Android, and the other one is a network app to give you an idea of your network speeds. So that's what we'll do. And then we have a conversation about navigation and travel and that kind of thing. So we'll be talking about that. So that'll be interesting as well. And throughout, we'll answer any chats or comments that you have, so throw those in the chat. And that's about it. So, as I always say, get your popcorn, get your cuddle partner, get your whatever it is that you like, and we're glad that you're here. Let's see here. I think we might have a mystery guest.
Am I a mystery guest at this point?
Hello?
Am I really a mystery guest after all this time?
Maybe not, but, I think I was with Marco for about a year, and he was always a mystery guest.
Oh, okay. Well, I can be mysterious.
Yes.
Do I sound weird since I don't have headphones plugged in?
You don't sound weird, but I do hear a little bit of myself echo, so that'll be interesting.
Should I turn off echo cancellation? Would that help?
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, you can try that. But
Okay.
Listeners, Kirt does not have his headphones plugged in, so if the audio sounds a little strange today, that might be why.
I broke them.
Yeah, he broke them.
Okay, is that any better?
Hello?
Hello?
I hear myself echo, but that's okay.
I can turn the volume down. Let's
Listeners
see.
can hear that or not, but... Hello?
Hello, is this any better?
I think my echo's gone. I don't know
Okay.
if you can hear me, though.
I can. I just turned the volume way down. So, okay. All right. Hopefully that suffices.
You just have to listen, like lean forward and hold the Chromebook up to your head to hear me or something.
I'll do some ASMR.
Uh-oh. Here we go. We're getting some weirdness going on already, guys.
Welcome to Nimer Tech and Outdoor Adventures, people.
That's right.
Well.
So what I'd like to know is, I was really hoping that I would have a big payout today.
Yeah, sorry.
And that unfortunately did not happen.
Yep, sorry. My life insurance policy is still in effect. Well, maybe it's not because I jumped out of an airplane. But, yeah, I'm still here, unfortunately for you.
So, how did this go, this adventure of yours?
It was really fun. It wasn't like what I was expecting. So how it worked was, we were in a very small airplane, and then we all just kind of took turns jumping out. And, I was going tandem, so I was strapped to some other person with a parachute. And we just kind of fell out of the airplane door. And
No, they didn't have to push you out?
No, he did not have to push me out. He just had to say, ready, set, go. And then there was like a moment of just kind of like very visceral body terror as I kind of realized, like, holy crap, I'm falling and it's too late to like bail out of this thing. But then it just got really, really windy, like so much wind.
Yeah, because you're moving so quickly.
Yeah, 120 miles an hour about, falling down. But then, after about a minute of just falling like that, then the parachute, I guess he pulled open the parachute and, it jerked me up. So when I was falling, I was kind of, face down, my stomach towards the ground, I guess, but the ground was far away. And then the parachute, when the parachute opened, it pulled me up, so I was like standing. And, we're still falling, but falling slower. And that part was actually really calm because somehow the parachute like quieted all the wind. And then I got to steer the parachute, so we did some loop-de-loops in the air, and that was pretty fun.
You're also moving a lot slower too.
Yes, yes, a lot slower.
Might be why the wind went away a little bit.
Yeah, and then I landed on the ground right on my butt, so that was kind of cool. But
you landed on your
really
butt?
Oh. Yeah.
Did the parachute start dragging you along the ground, or?
No, the guy just said, "All right, ready to land," and then fell right on my ass on the ground. So that was, I guess that's
excellent. Is your butt bruised?
No, surprisingly.
Okay.
But no, it was really fun. I think anyone who wants to should give it a shot because that feeling of falling through the air is not like anything I've ever felt before. And then when the parachute opened, it actually got really calm and peaceful. So.
And you didn't land on any power lines or on top of any trees or anything?
No power lines, no cell phone towers, no buildings.
I was wondering whether that's why T-Mobile had an outage yesterday. If you landed on a tower or something.
Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like if I landed on a cell phone tower for T-Mobile, it might make them go faster.
Just might.
So.
Well, yeah, I'm glad that you're here, Kirt, and I'm glad that you made it.
Yeah.
And even if that means I don't get my
yeah, sorry.
my benefit, unfortunately. But there's always next time. When are you going again?
I'm thinking about going. So this business has they call it bounce back, where they take like $30 off if you jump again in the next week, or I think it's 2 weeks. So
nice.
I'm looking into it. I might be going back because it was really fun.
Well, then I'll have some hope.
Yeah, it's always good to have hope, Nimer.
Yes, I have hope for next time.
Hope that I don't make it and you have to find another co-host who is a lot more punctual than I am.
I'm not worried about the punctuality. I'm a little concerned about making a little money.
Right? What, Google's not paying you enough?
Nope, not at all. You can never have too much.
No.
Well, today, I already talked a little bit about what we're going to do, so we'll just jump in and start off with some news, and then we'll go on to some of the apps that Kirt has to demo, and we'll talk about some tips for navigation.
Yeah.
And as I say to listeners, if the stream sounds a little strange, or if you hear me echo it at all, then that would be because Kirt does not have, headphones.
Yeah, my
okay.
Chromebook's not connecting to Bluetooth today, and I guess I've joined the 21st century, and I don't have a wired pair anymore, so thanks, Apple.
I can't deal without wired pairs because the latency. Like, I can't use Bluetooth on the computer. I mean,
fair enough. I'm
not even sure how you do it. Like,
it's real. The latency is real.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't do it even if I wanted to do it, which I'm not sure I do, but I don't know. Part of me actually wants to use bone conduction, and I would like to have a pair of wired bone conduction, but since there isn't one, I'd like to use bone conduction for computer usage because I don't like having headphones on my ears, but I really don't like that latency with Bluetooth, so I just can't do it.
It's real. But my problem is I keep losing all the wired pairs I buy. So...
Well, maybe you need to attach a tile tracker to them, like to the cord. Yeah, you can attach one to the cord or something, and that might help you find them.
That might not be a bad idea, because I bought a $150 pair of really good studio headphones, and I left them on a bus.
Oh, excellent.
So.
Well.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody on the bus got a lucky day.
I guess so. All right, well,
before we get started with the news, I just also want to welcome all the people who joined recently. I think we have nearly 400 now, so thank you very much if you have joined in the last week or so, or even before that, really. Thank you so much. And yes, let's go to the news. I suppose I should turn the music off.
Yeah, that might help.
We'll just mute it. There we go. Okay, so the first article, and by the way, I get a lot of these from both XDA and Phone Arena because they both have Telegram channels, and when I'm looking for articles, it's really the easiest way of just going through a bunch of news articles, copying and pasting links. I run into other stuff, but it just takes a little bit more effort to bring those into a stream or something like that. Plus, I find the Phone Arena and XDA typically cover most of the
they do, and they're
important
fast.
News anyway. So yeah. Okay, so the first article we have is the Google Pixel 3 and the 3 XL is dead.
Rest in peace.
Bye bye. So yep, the update cycle for these devices is over. So that means that if you have these devices, you will no longer be receiving updates. And it's about the 3 years that Google promised. So they didn't go any more than that. They promised 3 years, you got 3 years, and that's that. So you won't be getting Android 13. You won't be getting any more updates. So, it's actually I like the Pixel 3. It was a pretty good device for what it was. I have one here still, a 3XL. It's pretty fast still.
I've got a friend still rocking one.
Yeah.
I guess another friend.
I really liked it. The back was curved, and the glass, it started using these matte glass on at least some of the colors, and they had this curved back to it that made it easier to hold. I really liked it, and it has the fingerprint sensor on the back, which is really fast and certainly a lot better than any of the in-display ones, even Samsung's.
It seems like it was good with TalkBack too, as far as screen reader being responsive.
Yeah, it was definitely quite responsive, but now it's dead. So if you have one, maybe it's time to put it in your museum, or maybe consider. I know Gary's big into custom ROMs, although he doesn't really know much about them.
Sell it to Gary.
Maybe you can reach out to Gary and either sell it to him or get advice from him on how to ROM it. So Yeah.
Run one of those, what is it, Snowden OS or Lineage OS, or get one of
Yep.
those custom ROMs on there. Just play around. Why not?
That's right. Okay, so the next article we have a public service announcement. You
Ooh.
can speed up your Pixel 6 and 6 Pro's fingerprint scanner. And this is one of those titles that I hate. It says, with this setting.
It's very clickbaity.
So maybe I should just leave it there and say, check out the article. No, I won't do that to you. If you go into your settings on the Pixel 6 or 6 Pro and you go under display, one of the options is going to be to increase sensitivity.
Oh, yeah.
And it's intended to be a setting for screen protectors, but it also does help with increasing the sensitivity of the fingerprint sensor even when you are not using a screen protector. And really, with the newer devices, because of the Gorilla Glass Victus and how strong the glass is, you really don't need, honestly, a screen protector, with the exception, excuse me, with the exception of if you were to use a tempered glass, because a tempered glass would add additional drop resistance and help that tempered glass shatter instead of the actual display itself. But unless you're using that, there's not really much point to, because the scratch resistance and the drop resistance on the newer glass is pretty strong. So, but anyway, if you turn this setting on, then you will get a better response out of the fingerprint sensor. Also, if you find yourself not being able to unlock without having to press the power button, turning on the always on display mode in the lock screen settings, that will allow you to, this is not in the article, but just something that I found that I will give to you anyway. If you do turn that on, then you can unlock it without having to hit the power button. So, there is that.
That's good.
Next one is for Linux fans. If you like Microsoft, you can use your Microsoft Edge now. It is generally available in Linux.
Who's using Microsoft Edge on Linux? Like,
I certainly wouldn't.
I thought half the point of Linux was to get away from the big tech, Microsoft and Google and whatever else, and you're using Edge on your Ubuntu or whatever. Like,
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't. I mean, I would stick to Firefox personally in Linux, or possibly Chrome, but I certainly wouldn't be using Edge. But if you'd like to use Edge, it is now available in Linux, so check it out.
yeah, maybe you have a company that's making you do it for work or something. I don't know.
Right. This one's an interesting one. We can have lots of chat on this one. Facebook is shutting down its face recognition system.
Oh no. Yeah, I've seen a lot of outcry from the blind community.
Yeah. I actually think it's a great thing that they were storing, like, literally all their users, like over 1 billion faces.
Yeah.
You know, and who knows what they're going to do with that. You know, at some point they're going to use it for what purpose? Who knows? I don't know. It's just a lot of data for any one company to have, and now with data breaches and things, I'm a little hesitant when any company has that much information.
I love how you say that, and who do you work for?
I know. I realize that. But it is what it is.
Facebook is worse, though, I think, than Google even about that.
Yeah, and here's the good thing for blind people, though. Maybe their new parent company. What are they called again? MoMA? No. What are they called?
Metaverse or
Meta. Okay. Their new parent company, Meta. I don't think they're going to get rid of
No.
So this seems like a transfer to me. It doesn't seem like Facebook's
Yeah.
getting rid of anything. Honestly, it seems like a transfer to me. But who knows? What do I know? I don't really know much about this. So if you do and you want to get in touch and let us know.
And look,
Go
if
ahead.
you really need the face recognition for your photos and you don't have it anymore, like, if you have Envision AI, you can teach Envision AI those faces. Like, if that's that important to you, you know?
Right.
There are ways around it.
If you're a European, Asus is launching the ROG Phone 5S series in
Oh.
Europe. So is this like the iPhone 5S?
For gamers, yeah. For Android gamer phone people.
Let's see. 5S series consists of two phones, the ROG 5S and the ROG Phone 5S Pro, both of which act as replacements for the standard ROG Phone 5 and the ROG Phone 5 Pro. Wow, really? Okay. Both phones and they feature Qualcomm's latest. That's good. The Snapdragon 888.
Snapdragon.
Yes. Snapdragon 888 chipset. Higher bin Snapdragon 888 with okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Clock core 2.95 gigahertz rather than 2.84 gigahertz.
So it's the plus.
Yep, seems to be. Some additional performance optimizations to the Hexagon 780. What?
I think that's the GPU they're talking about there.
And the Qualcomm, the DSP, okay. Qualcomm AI engine. All right. Let's see. Now both devices are available in Europe, Asus online store, and selected retailers. That's good.
Yeah.
The 5S series is more or less just a refresh. Okay. Let's see.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard they're good phones.
Yeah. Touch responsiveness is now 360 hertz.
Ooh.
6.7-inch display. 144 hertz refresh rate. Let's see. Trying to figure out any other interesting specs here. LPDDR5 RAM, which is common. That's fine. UFS 3.1. Storage. Wow, look, it has a headphone jack.
Yeah.
3.5 millimeter headphone jack. That's excellent. Ultrasonic trigger buttons, the virtual buttons, I guess. In-display fingerprint scanner. Triple rear cameras. So basically like every other phone on the market.
Yeah.
64 megapixel camera, 13 megapixel ultra wide, and 5 megapixel macro. All right. 24 MP front facing camera. That's quite high.
Yeah. But I'd rather have something lower that's got like some autofocus on it.
Yeah. Battery 6,000 milliamps,
Yeah.
which is excellent. 65 watt fast charging support. Front facing stereo speakers and sub 6. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I've heard those speakers are some of the best speakers you can get on a phone.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Like not like phone speakers are really good no matter what, but I've heard they're good.
Yeah. Of course, they're all running Asus skin on top. That's as usual.
Yeah. Does this thing have a fan in it? I've heard there were some gamer phones that have fans in them.
It was an attachment to the Asus phones. I'm not sure if you can get the attachment for this particular one. I don't think the phones themselves actually came with an internal fan.
I'm trying to imagine how thick that would have to be with an internal fan.
Yeah, so the 5S is available now. 5S Pro is available for pre-order. So there we go.
Cool.
If you're interested in that, something to look at.
You want a gamer phone?
Yep. T-Mobile is giving every postpaid customer a free year of Paramount Plus.
Ooh.
Don't even know what the hell this is. But sounds good. I think
You
what
can
is
watch
like
Star
some movie
Trek.
thing or okay, cool. So do you have this Paramount thing? Well, you will
I
now.
don't. I mean, I'll have to look into it. But yeah, I mean, I feel like what this is it's the new rebranded. If I remember right, it used to be like CBS All Access,
Um,
and they changed it to Paramount Plus because they put some movies in there or something. If I remember right, don't quote me on that, but
this is actually quite sneaky because I think what the carriers are doing is they are essentially trying to drive up their revenue per account. And the
yeah,
way that they're doing that is they're offering you the service. And Verizon, by the way, is doing the same thing. And I hate both of them for doing this. Hate it. I absolutely think it's the scummy, stinky thing to do. But both of them are doing this. And what happens is after a certain period of time, in this case, for Paramount Plus, it's a year, sneakily, you're going to start being charged for it. And I don't know how
yep,
many users are going to notice an additional $5 or $10 charge on their bill. Some will. But I would be willing to bet a lot of them won't even begin to notice it.
yeah,
And so now all of a sudden, ching, they're getting an extra $5, $10 on your bill.
yep,
I don't like this. I really wish they wouldn't do this. I think mobile carriers should stick to mobile and leave the content consumption like I look at how many things, for example, Verizon's added to their plans. Like I don't know, they've got so many things. Even T-Mobile,
yeah,
Verizon, they got this Disney, they got this some other service, all these things. If you just didn't include that in your plan, how much cheaper could you make your actual plan be?
yeah, for real.
You know,
Yeah,
I don't like this.
yeah. I mean, I guess the flip side though is like the reason I still have a T-Mobile plan actually is it was Sprint branded, and I got Prime, I got Hulu, I got Tidal.
Yeah, but they were giving that stuff away. They were just trying to keep people on Sprint. Like they would do
Yeah,
anything. They would probably give you the moon if you asked for the moon.
yeah. But like, but
And you're going to
that
lose those, by the way.
yeah, I probably will at some point. But in the meantime, like that's a lot cheaper than me paying for Prime and paying for a separate music streaming service and paying for
Sure it
Hulu.
is, as long as you were willing to deal with Sprint's network, which in a lot of places that was okay, but in some places
Yeah,
that was just a really crappy network. So,
yeah, I get it.
you know,
It's sad when T-Mobile's a network upgrade, but it was.
right, right. Uh, I mean, personally, you couldn't have paid me any amount of money to be with Sprint because their network was just garbage. Like some places you went, it was actually really good. Like you could be standing in one place and it would be getting 300-400 megabits per second
Yeah.
on LTE
Yep.
because they had a massive amount of spectrum. And you'd walk 50 feet and you wouldn't even get a meg down.
Yes. 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 This is true.
Like you couldn't pay me to have that unreliability. Plus, people would call and the calls would just go straight to voicemail. Yeah, no thanks. But you know, if the Hulu and all these things matter that much, then sure. Or if you're really, sensitive about price. But you can't get that deal anymore, so too
No.
bad for you.
No. And now my network's a lot more. I mean, it's not the
Yeah,
best
it's a lot
network,
better anyway.
but it's reliable as far
Yep.
as
Yep.
for calls and stuff. So
So this is good for students. It should have been around when I was a student. Microsoft is making Citations with the Microsoft Edge browser. So again, trying to get you to use Edge.
yes.
Trying to do anything they can do to get you to use this thing. Let's see here. What does this article say? Let's start reading this. Article a little bit. Microsoft wants to make it easier for students to add citations to their research papers with a new feature with Edge browser. Adding proper citations to a paper can be a nightmare, especially with the different formats used in different institutions. The goal of Citations in Microsoft Edge is to make that easier by allowing users to easily grab citations for a particular page The citations feature in Edge is tied to the collections, which will allow you to save groups, pages to reference later. The idea is that the students will use collections to save a series of pages they used for research in their work, and they will easily grab citations from those pages. So seems like something Office will do. Office already does. And Docs, they both have citation features. So that's kind of interesting. Let's see, how do you get to this? It says you will need to enable citations in the collections menu in Edge. And once that's done, you'll see a quotation mark symbol next to each page in a collection. This lets you choose both in-text and full citations. You can choose the type of source you're using, change the author. Let's see what else. The author of the work you're citing. You can also choose the style. Okay, so yeah, basically just like Word, either APA or MLA. Okay.
Yeah,
so
I
student,
mean, there are
maybe
plenty of other
online
online tools for this if you need to, so I don't know that it's that big of a deal.
Yeah. Okay, C-band is being delayed. Looks like by 1 month. The FAA seems to have these concerns about this bandwidth. And I know I've talked about this once before, probably. You know, what really bothers me is, this is why I think government's gotten way too big and we should go back to smaller government. It's a political opinion, I realize that, but...
It's a spicy hot take that I happen to agree with.
Right. What really bothers me is the FCC sold this bandwidth, for billions and billions and billions of dollars. And they gave an opportunity to anyone who had an issue with the bandwidth, with the spectrum and all that, to comment. They always have these comment periods and waiting periods and all these things. The government went out of its way to sell the spectrum for, I think Verizon paid something like $150 billion or something. I don't know, maybe not quite that much, but quite a lot of money for this.
Yeah, I think at least that much.
Quite a lot of money. And other carriers spend a lot of money too, and because they need it, especially if they're going to catch up with T-Mobile in terms of spectrum anyway, they need it. And so, yep, it was sold, and it had this agreement about when this spectrum would become available. Some of it becomes available this year, some of it in 3 years. And all of a sudden, of course, FAA comes along and says, nope, hold on, can't do this. Too bad. We got some problems. Got to fix these issues. Probably some kind of power requirements or this or that.
They're saying it interferes with frequency that's...
I think that's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. Like, look, I've had a ham radio license before, and I'm actually in the process of renewing that ham radio license, so I know a bit about radio spectrum. And it's like 400 megahertz away from, like, the C-band and then the frequencies that they're saying it interferes with. It's like 300-400 megahertz away, and it's like that. It's not a real thing.
Yep. And if they're worried about that, then why is it that we still have microwaves and wireless routers, and I don't even know. We have routers that are actually using the 5 and 6 gigahertz. Some of the bands in that 5 gigahertz and 6 gigahertz bands are used by military installations and things like that. So if you go to enable a band in like the 100 to 100 64 to 100 some odd megahertz or whatever, or channels, sorry. If you change your wireless channel like from 64 or somewhere around there to 100 and whatever it is, it'll actually give you a warning, and it'll tell you that this could possibly interfere with military radar or whatever.
Yeah.
And if there's a need for this spectrum, then what'll happen is there's some provisions built in that it'll slow down, and that military radar or whatever is prioritized above your wireless router.
Yeah,
Like
and these
they
phones
could have
are
made
operating
those
at
kinds
such
of
low
if this
power.
was if this was truly a big deal, like they could have made some kind of stipulations when they when they went to auction off the spectrum, but they
Yeah.
didn't do that. I don't know. If I was Verizon, I would not be very happy right now. Uh, it's not going to impact them too much. They're only a month delayed. Hopefully, that's not going to increase. But and in that time frame, they'll probably continue building out anyways.
Yeah.
So it's not really going to hurt them very much. But still ridiculous in my mind. And this is why government shouldn't be in charge of things that I think maybe the private industry could do better.
Yeah. No argument from me there.
Next one, we have an interesting article about a quadriplegic individual, and he writes about what he thinks of iOS and its accessibility in iOS 15. For the most part, he has some good things to say, but certain things like the assistive touch he doesn't seem to think is very good because it's apparently too sensitive, for people who it's actually intended to be used by. It's too sensitive or something, and
Right. And God forbid they let you customize that sensitivity. Like,
right, yep, and he's also talking about this feature that they've added, which is he likes a lot, that you can actually answer phone calls automatically. With your watch, you can answer calls automatically as soon as a call comes in, which is helpful if you can't actually touch the screen. But the two ironic parts are you have to first of all enable this by touching the screen. You have to enable this
Yeah.
feature. You can't use Siri, for example, to do this. And the other crazy part is that if you take the watch off, it's no longer on your wrist, and you have it across the room or in a different room or whatever, that feature still works. So someone can call you and it'll automatically answer the call, even if the watch isn't on your wrist.
oh man, yeah, I'm sure that can cause all sorts of problems.
So, anyway, it's worth a read. It's interesting. I always like to read from a different perspective of what someone else thinks of the accessibility on different platforms. He actually praised Google because of the assistant feature, the assistant typing feature in the new Pixel 6 that it automatically inserts things like punctuation and grammar, and well, it doesn't insert grammar, but it tries to get grammar right.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's see. Amazon promises 4 years of updates for its Fire devices. That's good.
Yeah.
I personally think they should be going for 8, but hey, 4 is good enough. Good start.
What were they at before? 2?
Something like that. So the next article is exactly what I was talking about, the Pixel 6 5G series. They feature this onboard app correction of grammar mistakes in real time. It actually works pretty well, and you can just speak as I'm speaking now, and it will insert the punctuation as it thinks it should be inserted, and it works quite well. It also does offer some additional commands, for example, to delete the last sentence or delete everything, or when you're done speaking, you can pause a little bit and then you can say send, and it'll actually send whatever it is that you're writing. So it's quite convenient now to use dictation, and I'm hoping that it'll improve the dictation of Gary's messages and other blind people in the world who rely on dictation a lot.
I wasn't gonna go there.
I'm kind of wondering if it'll spell guy dog correctly, or we'll still see guy dogs, although that tends to be more of an iPhone thing. But
Guide dogs.
yeah. So, hey, I think this is a great feature, and if I didn't use the Braille keyboard a lot, I'd probably make use of this feature more.
Yeah.
And I think the BOWs, the blind Android users, did a demo on this. It's probably on their YouTube channel or something, so if you're interested in that, check it out. But it works pretty well.
Yeah.
Let's see. Cricket, Chirp Chirp, they've updated their plans.
No data caps there, right, anymore?
Yeah, they used to have 8 meg data cap for their cheapest plans, their cheapest unlimited plan. And they got rid of it for all their plans. Any kind of data cap is gone. They've also, for their most premium plan, they're not giving a cutoff anymore for premium data.
Oh.
So you can use as much premium data as you want, and there's no, after a certain threshold, it gets slowed down. So it's just like the T-Mobile Magenta Max or the AT&T Elite. It's just like those plans. And I'm thinking they're charging something like $60 for that unlimited plan. So it's cheaper than those other ones.
Do you get deprioritized, though?
Well, it is a prepaid carrier, and so like on AT&T, the general network access is, so for anyone who doesn't know, they're using QCI levels. And a consumer on the Elite plan is at QCI 7, whereas everyone else is on QCI 8, except for their cheapest plan is on, I think, QCI 9. And a lot of their prepaids on QCI 9. This plan is on QCI 8.
Okay.
From what I've discovered, it's on a QCI 8, so it's actually like their extra, like their kind of middle plan with no data cap. So I think it's actually a really good deal.
Yeah?
Not quite the Asus of Elite, but it's still going to generally give you pretty good data. And AT&T has a lot of capacity anyway, so I don't really think that most people will notice a huge difference. But if you're looking for a cheaper alternative to any of these unlimited ones, certainly worth checking out. And it's a lot better deal, I think, than like the Verizon Unlimited Start or Start Unlimited or the T-Mobile Essentials. Or it's better than those plans for sure. Okay, that's the news. Let's see.
All right.
That was kind of a long news section, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, we both had a lot to say, I guess.
Tedros says, skydiving would scare me to death. Thank you for sharing your experience, Kirt.
Oh, it was fun. Give it a try, Ted. Come on.
I think Kirt has some video of this on his Facebook, something like that.
do.
So check him out on his Facebook. Although
It's
that
mostly
wouldn't really
music,
help for,
though.
yeah, it wouldn't help out for blind people. It's all it's music, but hey, it's still pretty cool. I think you should have done a recording. This is an excuse for you to go again, and then this time start up Haiku or something.
Oh, man. Yes.
I don't know if they let you keep your phone or not when you went Sky. Probably not, but
No, but I could probably... it's worth a try.
yeah, if you could talk them into it, stick it in a pocket or a harness or some kind of, I don't know, a mount or something, or maybe they can record it and just give it to you without the music.
Yeah?
That'd be cool. You'd hear a bunch of wind.
Yeah, a lot of wind.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I think the video on my Facebook, it has a couple parts. It has the guy saying go when we fell out of the plane.
Yep.
And then it has when I landed and the guy, someone was interviewing me and asking me how it was. And, so that's all there, but it's like 90% just music.
Yeah. Well, let's see if we can get more than music next time.
Yeah.
Put it up on the channel.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm up for that.
Either that or I'll have to go and smuggle in my phone or something. Okay, let's see. Do you have a preference? Do you want to do the apps first, or do you want to do the
Oh.
mobility
I
adventures?
I could show these apps, I guess. Take a few minutes here.
Yeah, so Kirt will show some apps, and I think these are useful. These are ones that I use. Certainly the NPerf I use a lot. But, yeah.
Cool. I'm just getting my phone ready here. Let's go slower so that we have less complaints. Eh, come on, three-finger swipe.
Lines. Words. Characters. Speech rate. Links. Speech rate. Slower. 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 Slower.
All right.
Yeah,
So
slow
what-
it down and turn it up. Crank
Yeah,
it
let's
to like
turn it up a
100%. I don't know.
Expand. Accessibility volume set to 100%.
How's that? Oh,
It still sounds quiet. I don't know.
okay, Google. Oh,
Tap the voice search button. Tap to speak.
oh,
Screen.
that's because I'm
Maps.
using
Check
Eloquence
expand
here.
button.
My Eloquence is a lot quieter. I'll turn on Google.
Lock screen. Unlock.
Oh, it would help if my phone was unlocked.
Enter password. Switch to web uncontracted. Showing Braille keyboard. S-A. Submitted device unlocked. Keyboard hidden. Telegram.
Okay, Google.
Outside.
Open text-to-speech settings.
Dismiss assistant.
Or wait, no. There's an easier way. Sorry, I had some vodka before the podcast. Okay.
Very nice. Very nice.
Copy last spoken screen search. Show screen voice command. Talkback setting. Text to speech settings.
Here we go.
Text to speech. Navigate up. Text. Preferred settings. Preferred engine. EPI Eloquence TTS.
All right, let's go to Google.
Navigate up. Preferred not checked. Radio button. Samsung text. Not checked. Radio button. Speech services.
Yeah,
by
or
Google.
Samsung's works too. Either one.
Using speech services by Google. Checked. Not checked. Radio button. E-speaking.
Okay, that seems like it's a little louder, yeah?
Yeah,
Not
it's a
checked.
little
Radio
louder.
button. Eloquence TTS.
Huh?
Still seems. It's a little louder. Still seems a little quiet, but I guess it'll have to do.
No? I can...
If we want to
Yes,
fund
set to
Kurt to
100%.
get an audio interface and a mixer and all that, we can do better, listeners. So if you want that,
Yeah?
let's let's donate.
Not checked. Radio button.
Would it
E-speaking.
would it help if I turned my microphone gain up or not really?
No, because then your voice will be really loud.
Okay.
Not checked. Radio button. Eloquence TTS.
Okay. All right. So I will.
Links. Control. Headings. Paragraph. Line. Words. Characters. Spoken language. Speech rate. Slower. 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 Slower.
All right. So I'm going to
Text to
first
speech.
show.
Preferred engine. Speech services by Google.
These are both apps that are just kind of like maintenance testing apps on your phone. And I'll start with one called AccuBattery. It is spelled A-C-C-U space battery. Like
Is it put out by the
battery.
same people who do AccuWeather?
Huh. I actually think it might be. Digisoft or whatever they're called. Anyways, one of the things I've heard a few people ask me about is how do I know the battery health on my Android phone? Because for those of you who don't know, the more you use a battery, a rechargeable battery, over time, it gets less and less powerful in the sense that it can hold less and less charge. So, after a year or 2 years, that battery is not going to last as long as it did when you bought the phone. And that's just how batteries work. But iOS, you can open your battery settings. There's a little page that says battery health, and it will tell you, your battery's at 84, 85, whatever percent. AccuBattery is an app that has that same functionality for Android. So,
Gmail. Search.
I'm going to open my app
Showing Braille
finder
keyboard.
here.
Finder. A-C-U. A-C-U. Clear text. C-C-U. Submitting. Clear. AccuBattery.
AccuBattery.
AccuBattery Pro. Help.
All right, so I'm just going to go through
More options. Button.
this app a little bit here.
47%. Battery at 47% lasts for 4 hours, 12 minutes. 3 hours, 3 minutes.
All right, and so that 4 hours, 12 minutes is average time. Total screen off, screen on.
36 hours, 16 minutes. 3 hours, 3 minutes.
That 3 hours, 3 minutes is going to be, if I just had my screen on, streaming videos or using the phone.
36 hours, 16 minutes.
And it's saying that 36 hours and 36 minutes. I believe that is screen off time, so if it was just sitting in my pocket and I wasn't doing anything with the phone.
Battery usage. Screen on. 1%. 40 mAh in 5 meters.
Okay, so then it's telling me I've used 40 milliamp hours in 5 minutes.
Screen off. Minus 0%. Minus per app usage ma.
I don't pay attention to a lot of these, but now it's gonna say, it'll give me a list of all the apps on my phone that I have that use my battery.
9. 2. 2. 2. In deep sleep 4. 0 meters. 0% discharging speed.
And it actually, you have to have the app open for a minute for it to actually show you the apps. So it's giving me a lot of technical information here. Discharging speed.
Screen on. 10.0% per hour.
Saying it discharges 10% per hour. I'm going to go to the bottom of the screen.
History. Health. Discharging. Charging.
So I have these 4 little tabs on the bottom. Charging, discharging, health, and history.
Right now. Foreground
Now
app.
stop
History.
it.
Health.
I'll go under health. And then you do kind of have to just know that you have to go to the top of the screen.
AccuBattery Pro. Help. More options. Battery health.
So I went to the top and I'm flicking down.
By comparing the estimated battery capacity versus the design capacity, you can see how much capacity your battery has lost over time. To change your battery design capacity, go to the charging screen.
Now, you don't really need to change your battery capacity. It should know by default.
Battery health. 86%. Estimated capacity. 3,323 milliamp hours. Design capacity. 3,880 milliamp hours.
Alright, so when my phone got brand new, it had 3,880 milliamp hours. Samsung advertised that as 4,000. And that has degraded to about 86% with usage over time. So I've had this phone for a little over a year. So that's about normal battery capacity loss. Now I'm going to plug this in.
Charging started battery level 47%.
And then I'll go to the charging tab, because this is kind of interesting.
History. Health. Discharging. Charging.
Charging.
AccuBattery Pro. Help. More options, but 47%. Battery wear. Charging to 80% causes 0.18 cycles in wear. Charging to 47% causes 0.00 cycles in wear.
Alright, so that's just saying, they like to say...
Charging to 80% causes 0.18 cycles in wear.
Stop
Charging
it.
to 47% causes 0.00 cycles in wear.
You know, they like to say
Charging to 80%,
only
battery
charge your
48%
battery to
lasts
80%. I don't necessarily buy into that advice, because I don't really care. You know, I usually go through a phone every
Nice pairing. Your messages
2
are
years
4
or
hours, 18
something.
minutes.
So it's saying my battery at 48% will last for about 4 hours, 18 minutes.
3 hours, 7 minutes.
3 hours, 7 minutes of screen on time.
37 hours, 2 minutes. Charge status. Message. Charge current. Charge status. Charge current. 3,323 milliamperes.
Alright, so it's saying that 3,323. Now, once it's been plugged in for about a minute, it'll tell me, it'll give me, it'll say charging to 80% will take about 20 minutes or whatever time. And one thing I learned from this app that I didn't actually know before is, because it will tell you the speed your phone is charging at, I learned that if I have my screen locked, it will charge significantly faster. Like if my screen is locked, my phone will charge in about an hour. If my screen is not locked and I'm like using it while I'm charging, it'll take probably 2-ish hours.
Average charge speed. 100.9% per hour.
Okay, so it's saying in over all my charges, it's about 100.9% per hour, because I keep my phone locked when I charge usually.
Temperature. 94.1 degrees Fahrenheit.
So it'll tell me my battery temperature.
Voltage. 4,183 millivolts. Charge time estimate. Battery level. 50%. Charge time to 80%. 21 meters, 8:18 p.m.
Okay, so I'm just going through.
Charge time to 100%. 38 meters, 8:34 p.m.
And these numbers would be a lot faster if I had my phone locked, but then I obviously couldn't be flicking through the screen. So those are just numbers to get a good idea of how fast your battery is charging. What is your battery's health? How much of your battery capacity have you lost over time? And this is obviously a lot more information than iOS gives you in its little battery health settings. But at the very least...
Mark Mike voice message.
Stop it.
Charge time to 100%.
I'll talk to you later, Mark. but at the very least, it can give you an idea of, hey, this is how much my battery is worn out over time. And so if you're just wanting to know how much mileage you can get out of your battery, that's basically another way to get the same information that iPhone people have in their battery settings. Now, a more interesting app I'm going to show is called NPerf, N-P-E-R-F. And what that is it's network speed testing, like the speed test app, but it gives you a little more of an idea of, like, how is your network performance actually in the real world. So I'll just open this app here.
Settings search. Showing Braille keyboard. Finder. Page. E. R. F. Submitting text. Keyboard hidden. Clear edit box. NPerf. Showing items 1 to 4 of 4.
NPerf. All
NPerf.
right.
Connecting to server.
So it says it's connecting to the server. And
NPerf. Open NPerf.
I will just do a speed test here to show you kind of how this speed test is different from your regular speed test apps.
Full test.
So I'll click on this, or double tap on this thing that says full test.
Open NPerf. Full test.
Come on.
Full action datahouse. Image. 8. Launch full test button.
Launch full test. So as I was flicking through the screen, it had that action data use button. So I'll do launch full test. And
navigate up, but NPerf. Full test. Action datahouse. Image 160. Image 3 period megabit per second. Establishing connection. 0% powered by.
All right, so this will
86%.
This will kind of tell you as
58.
the test is
Message,
going.
Mark, action image 7 browsing test. Showing item 2 of 4.
So now it opened up this thing called a browsing test, and what it's doing is opening up different websites.
Facebook, login or sign up.
So you can
Web
see
view.
it opened up Facebook.
Navigate up, button, NPerf. Full test. Action browsing, web view. Navigate up, chat NPerf. Zoom
Then it-
uses cookies and similar technologies on our website. Privacy statement.
See, it opened up Zoom.
Navigate, NPerf. Full show. Action
Oh,
data.
come on.
Streaming, 0%.
And now
Progress
it's
bar,
doing a
0%.
streaming test.
0%. Fetching video streams manifest.
And I'm just
Analyzing,
flicking through the things on
0%.
the screen
Google
here.
YouTube. 360p. 720p. 1080p. Performance rate. Dash. Dash. Dash.
So it'll give me a performance rate for each streaming quality, 360p, 720p, or 1080p.
Initial loading.
Then there's an initial loading box that pops up.
1.648s.
So it took 1.64 seconds to load the 360p,
0.937s.
0.93 seconds to load the 720p,
Dash.
and I haven't found a
Loading
way
results.
for it to
Showing
tell
item
me
4
the
4.
1080p load times, just because when it pulls that up, that's when it tells me the full test results have loaded up.
Open
So
menu,
let me
button.
just flick through the test
Enter.
results here.
Full test. Action datahouse.
Oh, come on.
Image. US San Francisco 1 gigabit per second. DigitalOcean.
So it was telling me that was my server.
Image. Download. Download. 314.14.
So it's saying my average download here is 314.14 megabits per second.
Megabit per second. ABG. 178.15 megabits per second.
Oh, wow, I was wrong. Sorry, my average here is 178. That 314 was the maximum download
Message.
speed it
Mark
got.
Upload.
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 So this is obviously, I'm connected to T-Mobile's mid-band 5G, but it's this is like their busiest time of day. So it's down to 178 megabits per second.
32.08.
32 megabits per second max.
Megabit per second. ABG. 25.12 megabits per second.
Average
That's a lot of
25
variation between the average and the max.
Yes. No, that's true. That's true.
Latency. Latency. 57.
So 57 ping for a server in San Francisco. I'm in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Ms.
57 was the max.
ABG. 65 milliseconds.
Average 65. That's high. It's normally not that high. I'm normally in the 40s, which is still high.
JIT. 13 milliseconds.
13 milliseconds jitter.
Share. Restart.
Now, I can restart the test if I want. Now, as I flick through these, though, this is what makes this app more useful.
Your score, 102,314. Endpoints, compare, restart.
Alright, so that's lower than I usually get, but it gives you a score.
Browsing. Browsing. 78.30%.
Alright, so I have a browsing score of 78.30%. That's meaning that's compared to all the people who have been doing the tests with all of their different kinds of network connections. That's my browsing percentile, which for 5G should be a little bit higher, but that's still pretty decent. That score tells me I should be able to go to websites and they'll load decently fast, whatever. But not quite as fast as it should be with, ultra capacity 5G.
Performance rate.
Now I'll go to streaming.
Streaming. 89.86%.
89.86%, so a higher streaming network performance. T-Mobile's network is a little more optimized for streaming.
Performance rate. Technology. 4G plus LTE.
Oh, okay. I guess I wasn't even connected to the 5G network there. I guess I lost my 5G signal. That normally doesn't happen, but I've seen it happen sometimes. Now, one other cool thing that the NPerf app does is you can set up something called the NPerf, I think it's called NPerf monitoring. So what that does is it...
Notification. Collapsed.
I'll show
Alexa,
in my...
help me expand.
I'll show in my notification shade. It puts a little notification in your notification shade.
Collapsed. YouTube. Bullet. Collapsed. Uber Eats notification set. Clear. Button.
Oh, come on. You should be here.
RSRP. NPerf. 11,000.
Come on. Oh, come on.
Notification. Collapsed. LTE. Expand. Collapsed. LTE. T-Mobile B2. Signal Check Pro. LTE. Minus 82.
Okay, so that's telling me I don't have any 5G connection right now.
Expand. Button. Collapsed. Expand notification. Advanced micro. Battery 10. 0.01 megabits
Here
per
we
second.
go.
0.00 megabits per second. T-Mobile.
So what that was telling me is I was downloading 0.01 megabits per second, uploading nothing, 0.0. But let's say you're downloading something on your phone and you want to know how fast is this actually downloading. Or you're streaming and you want to know, okay, how often is my phone actually downloading things from the server to keep the stream going? With that little NPerf monitor notification that you can set up to just show up in your
alerting notifications.
In your alerting notifications there, you can know, like real world, outside of just speed tests, how fast is my phone actually downloading things. So, for example, what I learned from that was when I go do, like, let's say I check my updates in the Play Store, and I have, like, today I hadn't done it for a couple weeks, so I had 44 updates available. I saw when I went to do those updates, my phone would actually only be downloading something every 10 to 15 seconds. So it would, all of a sudden spike at downloading at like 150 megabits per second. But then it wouldn't be downloading anything for another 10 or 15 seconds. And then it would start downloading again for a second or so, until it had that other app to install. But, I learned that it wasn't actually downloading in the background all the time. It would just every few seconds go download something. So if you want to check how good your network connection is and what your phone is actually, how much it's actually downloading and how much it's actually uploading compared to just your speed tests, that app is a very good way of knowing just real-world network performance there. So that is NPerf.
All right. Well, that was quite interesting there.
Yeah.
I use NPerf as well, and because I do care about the state of the networks, so I'm testing the networks out. And unfortunately, right now, not eSpeak, goodness, Speed Test is broken.
Yep.
and it's really, really unfortunate. I'm hoping that a lot of people can help apply some pressure to them because they don't seem to they really don't seem to care. And I don't like to say that very often because I do think that a lot of the times it's just a matter of educating developers. But in this case, I know I've reached out to them. A number of other people have reached
Yeah,
out
I
to
have
them.
to.
And what we get is absolutely zero response. And so it's time that this company gets shamed because they're just not responsive at all. They don't give it timelines. They don't even give, oh, thank you, we received your feedback. There's just not. They're just submitting feedback to a black hole. They broke it, and they need to fix it. You know, it used to be the app was really good, and it would actually display the results. And right now, what it does, if you're using TalkBack, it will display as it's doing something. It'll display those results as long as you keep checking it. Otherwise, yeah, you can't actually see the results unless you go to the results tab. But that's kind of annoying. You can't see the results of your past test unless you actually go into the results tab. So,
And it used to work so well.
yeah, it used to work so well, and overnight it just got broken. And as I said, they have not at all been responsive. It's been a few months now.
Yeah.
First reported it when it made its way into beta a while ago, but they just have absolutely refused. So I gave them a 1-star rating on the Play Store, and although my feedback is not really shown to anyone because of the fact that I'm in beta, so it's just private feedback. That kind of
No,
happens.
I'm not in beta. I can leave another review. That's cool.
Yeah, leave them a 1-star, and anyone else who's watching this, email them through their app. They have a support section in their app or something. You can email them, and you can also send them a 1-star review on the Play Store. And I think that might be the only way to get it fixed. The iPhone app still works well, so it's not like they broke that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so.
Yeah, but I think that NPerf app is a better, actual way of knowing what's realistically happening.
It's a better holistic app. Unfortunately, the pings on it are really high.
Yes.
And so those are not, I don't think they're necessarily realistic pings. And I also think that with any of these apps, especially T-Mobile, seems to really gear their downloads for the speed test app.
They do.
Because if you run pretty much anything else, you're never going to actually get those speeds.
Yeah.
And they have some kind of weird way of prioritizing what actually is downloaded and how fast and all
But at
that,
least
so.
with these apps, you can, have your little notification there and see how fast you're actually downloading things.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. I put up a poll whether Kirt should go skydiving again.
Ooh.
So if you're interested, vote in that poll. It'll be interesting to see if anyone votes on that thing. We have a couple of comments. Let's see. Marco, he wants to know, what is this dodgy stream doing up on the YouTube? I don't know. I didn't know I was in a stream on YouTube. What are you talking about? I'm kidding.
Hey, it's a lot less dodgy than that clubhouse I tried to join for an hour today, and it wouldn't send me the code.
That's right. Tedros Marcos says, are there any accessible citation add-ons that enhance the Microsoft Word experience? Default citation in Word has limitations. I'd be interested to see what those limitations are because I've thought it was pretty comprehensive. It definitely gives you quite a lot of citation options, so yeah, I'd be interested to see what those limitations are. Also, the Google Docs citation tool works pretty well.
Yeah.
Before any of those features, I used to use a website. I forget what it's called, but there's a number of these websites that you just type in the information, the URL, whatever, and it'll spit back out the result of.
Yeah.
With the
I used one
formatting.
called Noodle Tools. That worked really well.
Yeah, there's a number of these things out there, so there are definitely a number of tools that you can use. But I don't know. I mean, I found the Word one to work pretty well. So, I mean, it's been some years since I've used citations in Word, but when I did use it, it worked pretty well. So, I'm interested to see what kind of issues that you're having.
Yeah, so would I.
Okay, well, if you're watching this marathon, thank you very much, and please hit the like button, and definitely appreciate you being here. And let's see, we're going to talk about what we're going to talk about. Oh, navigation.
Navigation.
Let's see. Oh, there's someone voted no. So
Oh.
we have a no at 100% so far
Oh.
on your poll, so you shouldn't go skydiving.
Come on, people.
Trying to ruin your fun, I guess. Okay, so it's always kind of upsets me. I talk to a lot of people, and they tell me, "Oh, I just don't leave my house. Oh, I can't go anywhere because I don't have transportation," or "Oh, for whatever reason, my parents are too busy to take me where I need to go." And I thought it would be interesting to talk about some navigation tips, tools, anything that we feel like throwing out there, and leaving the conversation open so that people can comment on this stream and come back from time to time. And we can always come back from time to time and revisit this and look at some of the comments here, because I want to provide sort of that resource for anybody who's interested in learning about how a blind person navigates, to come back and revisit this. And also, I really like traveling. It's kind of fun, and I think Kirt likes getting out there too. And we both generally like having adventures. So it just kind of feel like it's something that's worth talking about, and even if it is a little bit different than what we have done in the past. But yeah, so first of all, we come at it from a little bit different place, right? So I'm a dog user, at least at the moment, and you're a stick user.
Yep. I've got the cane.
Old-fashioned branch.
Yep.
Or the cane. Sorry, I don't want to offend anybody. It's the white cane. Yeah, we're using the white cane.
It's sacred.
Yes. Yeah, and God forbid anybody ever yank it out of your hand. It's fair to say that we're both interested in trying out Strap once that gets released. If it ever comes out the door.
Right.
Did you end up keeping your pre-order, or did you cancel yours?
I kept my pre-order.
Okay. So we're both cane, come at it from a little bit of a different place. One of us is a cane user, one of us is a dog user. I'm not sure that I'm going to actually be getting another dog. I think that I'm done with dogs for a long time. But it's kind of interesting. One of my favorite things to use, really think about using, is when orienting myself. And it's always kind of incredible to me how people miss out on these things. And I think it's just not really realizing that you can use these things, but like a different audio cues. Right?
Yeah.
So when you're walking around, like, this, you have things like echolocation, but you also have like things in the environment, right? You have cars, a road, businesses, certain animals, whatever, the sound of whatever it is. And then you have other cues too, like the sun and the wind direction.
Yeah.
For me, it's like I don't really think about a lot about what things I use to orient, and I had to think about them in order to talk about the subject. But like, it seems hard, it seems like this is something that you just do. You plan, what resources are you going to use today, and all this. I don't do that. That's not really. It's just something that I do. I pay attention to things that are around me.
Yeah, and I
As an
think that-
example, I really don't understand, like, a lot of people veer when they cross roads, and they veer quite a lot. Some people veer into traffic. And I guess I have a little bit of a hard time with that, because if you can hear the traffic around you, you can hear which direction cars are going. Unless there's something else masking that noise, I don't really understand how that happens. Or people get lost. They get out of a car or something. They're going somewhere. They get out of a car in a parking lot, and instead of walking towards a building, they walk towards the road.
Yeah.
Things like that. Like, I don't really understand that. But I'm here to talk about the tools I use and not really talk about things I don't understand. So, at least for me, I use like things in the environment. Whether that's echolocation, or that's the sounds of things, wind, tapping of a cane on different surfaces if I am using a cane, or just generally like, is this, does this feel like a more open space to me? Even with a dog, you can kind of tell. Is this a more open space, or is this something else? Is this whatever it is? And then I'll also use a compass and the sun. And the sun acts like a really good directional tool if you have sun.
Yeah, if it's there.
If it's there, because it doesn't tend to move very fast. So, really great tool. And on compass, I have you can use compass on your phone, but you can also, it's getting harder to find the Braille ones, but you can maybe find a Braille one. You can certainly find a talking one. And that's a really valuable tool. And why is that? Like, if you walk into a building or you walk into anywhere, and you know that you're going a certain direction, you can figure that out based on, compass or something like that.
Yeah, and it can help you make sure you're walking in a straight line, like even in a
you're
building.
Walking in a straight line, but then also, how do you find your exit? How do you find where you came from? And that can be a good tool. I tend to kind of remember these things. Like, I tend to focus on where I'm going and kind of have an idea of how I got there and how to get out. But also in a large space, like, compass can be really helpful.
Yep.
I also use the voice. I know I've talked about the voice a bit, but the voice is really good at being able to identify visual landmarks, so whether that's signs while walking around, it can read out signs. And because the text that it's reading is in stereo, if text is on my right, it'll read it on my right. And so I kind of have an idea of which direction at least the sign is, and which way I need to look to maybe get a better scan. And also, in a parking lot or something like that, you can very easily delineate the direction that you need to go in to find buildings, for instance. Because buildings are big compared to anything else around you, and so pretty easily spotted with the voice. Also, streets are pretty easily, if you want to cross a road, and you might think, I don't want to have this thing, screeching at me. And that's true, you don't want to have something screeching at you. But, if you turn down the soundscapes, and you're using something like bone conduction headphones, which I use, you can actually very easily delineate the crosswalk lines, and very easily walk straight across a road using the crosswalk lines, using something like the voice. Excuse me. I'm sounding like Dennis. Hello, Dennis. And a final tool, I will use GPS, but I don't really think there's any good GPS apps at the moment other than Nearby Explorer. I will play with Lazarillo sometimes. I use Google Maps if I want just navigation directions.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, but that's not what GPS is really good at.
No. Nope.
Yeah, so I'm a little similar, although I gotta say, so for me, navigation hasn't always come easily. I used to be one of these people who veered a lot. And I mean, I still veer occasionally when I cross streets. I'm not going to say that like I am perfect. I'm just a lot better than I used to be because I've worked at it. I think in some ways the trained professionals do us a lot of a disservice, at least here in the States, because they teach us routes. They tend to teach us, here's where you live, or here's where you go to school, or here's where your office is, or whatever. And let's teach you how to walk, from your house to the bus stop, or from your office to the bathroom, or from your house to the coffee shop. Or if you have a really progressive teacher, maybe from your house to the bar. Or, you learn these routes between one specific place and another specific place. And you're taught to follow those directions as precisely as you can. When really, I think half of what we have to do as blind people is get over that conditioning and learn, it's okay to take a wrong turn and end up on another street and realize, oh, I'm not where I was trying to go. Let's see what's around me. Maybe I'll learn something new about my city that I didn't know before because I made a wrong turn. And then I found when I got more okay with that more open approach, I started making less wrong turns because I was paying more attention to what was around me instead of, oh, what's the next step in my to-do list to follow the route I was given. So
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I've seen a lot of people, they only go to the same two places. Why? Because that's where their mobility teacher told them to. And they go to any new place and they need to hire a new mobility person, or they want to contact the state.
Yep.
Like, I've had people tell me I can't start college because I haven't had mobility yet. And so I'm going to postpone it until I have mobility.
Yeah, that's very limiting. What if you...
It's quite limiting, and if there's construction on your route, then all of a sudden you can't go there.
Yeah.
If there's, if anything happens, you're stuck. And I actually find this to be true with computer training. So, some of you might know I'm a trainer, and one thing I really like to do is teach concepts. And I've done this here too on the channel, where I won't necessarily provide a lot of the keyboard shortcuts. I'll provide some. I'll tell you where to get them, but I like to teach the concepts. And I think that's what's missing in mobility and in orientation mobility travel as well. And I also find that O&M instructors tend to focus more on the route planning and even less on, as Kirt said, the concepts behind where you're going and being able to get lost and found and all that, but also things like the orientation of a new place. How do you figure out where you're at and what tools can you use, and can you read a map, or if you manage to get one, or if not, do you know address systems, or how, generally that each city has to follow some kind of a plan for addresses. Some people think that houses or addresses are just randomly chosen.
No, there's some system.
Yeah, someone just puts a bunch of things on a map. Here you go. This one is 199, and this one, oh, that's 203, and yeah, it's not like that. And understanding that address system is really helpful to me, at least, especially in a new place.
Yeah, can teach you a lot. But my thing too is I'm someone who used to be so scared to leave my house, or I would, anytime I went to a new place, I would leave my house because I would get bored and then I would just freeze. This was me up until probably, 6-7 years ago. So it's okay if that's where you're starting from. I think the point is to just practice and know that, like, things don't all... The other thing I see a lot of blind people do is be like, oh, well, if I could see, then this would be a lot easier and I wouldn't get so lost. And it's like, that might be true to some extent, but also, like, I remember I went on a trip with my dad, a few years ago. And we were in New York. Neither of us knew the city very well. And I had a lot easier, like, figuring out where things were and navigating that city was a lot easier for me because I had learned how to ask directions from people. And I had learned how address systems worked. Where he hadn't, and so he ended up getting lost more than I did. Or staying lost, I should say, longer.
I think a lot of sighted people tend to be lost even in environments because they're just, they kind of think like I know where they're at, that they're not really paying attention to anything else around them. So, as an example, ask a sighted person, walk up to them, ask them where X, Y, or Z place is, and even if they've lived somewhere for a long time, they'll start looking around like, oh, it doesn't exist, oh, it's not here, oh, it's probably 3 blocks away, and it's actually right in front of them. But, like, they forget how to use their eyeballs. I don't know. Or their brain just shuts off, or...
Yeah. And it's not everyone, but I've definitely noticed that. So, like, the biggest thing is just leave your house, like...
Yeah, get out and, start going around the block at least. Do something. It's good to find interests that you have, too. Like, I really want to do X, Y, or Z. Figure out how to do that.
And then it's okay if it's okay if you get lost along the way, or,
lost. Maybe you'll meet a new person. You can ask them for directions and get to find out who they are or learn something about them. Use some of your other tools. Like I said, there's a lot of orientation tools you kind of just pick up along the way of, and what direction is the sun in? What direction have you walked? Do you have some kind of a compass on your phone or whatever? Do you have an idea of where you're at? I think GPS is a starting place. Like, at least it'll tell you kind of where you're at. I don't think it should be or ever become the only thing that you know how to do. And that's how you get to places. How about it? Like at airports. Do you go through airports?
I do. So this is actually one tip I've...
help or...
So... I usually don't unless I'm, like, running behind schedule, but, I know people who have traveled a lot more than me who do. So it's like, I'm not saying my way is better. I'm just saying I like to... One thing I've found that's very helpful in airports or, like, basketball arenas or, big places is... You can ask people for directions to places closer that they can see. So, for example, when I get to an airport, what I'll usually do is I'll, get in the line that's usually by the door to check in. And then I'll ask the the person behind the counter which way the security line is. And the great thing about airports is there's a lot of people, so I'll start walking that general direction, and, maybe I'll find someone along the way and say, hey, is this way the security line? And then once I get through security, rather than asking someone, can you take me to my gate, I'll know what concourse my gate is, so I'll know I have to go to Terminal D. And so I say, okay, which way are the terminals from here? Okay, now I'm going that way. What concourse am I passing now? What's the next one up this way? And if you ask people specific questions like that, then when I know I'm walking the right way, and I get to concourse D, and I ask people, what concourse is this right here? And they say, oh, this is D. Okay, great. I go into maybe my gate's D17. So then I go into the concourse D, and I walk down a couple gates, someone's there, and I say, hey, what gate am I by on my left? They say, oh, that's D5. Okay, What's the next one up ahead on my left past me? Oh, that's D7. Okay, great. So across the hall is D6? Yeah, and then if I ask people specific things like that about things that are like within their field of view that they can actually see, and just ask people more questions along the way, I find it's a lot easier and a lot less overwhelming for the other people instead of me being like, oh, which way's my gate?
Looks like we've got 6 watching, so thank you for
Cool.
those of you who are here.
But also there's nothing wrong, I think, with you're in an airport, you're on a time crunch, you want to say, hey, can someone take me to my gate? Like that. I don't think there's any shame in that. I'm not here to say, like, my way is better. And in fact, my way might be worse if I'm on a time crunch. Like,
So the reason I don't really get gate assistance at airports, and I agree with you, each person has to make the decision that works for them, but the reason I don't is it generally takes longer.
Yeah, you're waiting for a long time.
You're waiting for a long time for someone to come. And even if they tell you, oh, well, you just, we'll put it in our system, and when you land, what I hear all the time on the plane, I hear, if you're disabled, just stay seated until everyone else, gets off the plane, and then we'll help you get off. And I'm like, that's a long time for a bigger plane, especially. That's a long time to be sitting there waiting, and then by the time you get off, maybe the assistant's not even there yet. So I don't bother with that. I actually use the voice and I use OCR apps quite a lot in airports, because what I find is that you'll have a general idea of which way you're walking, and a lot of times you can actually get an idea of the gate numbers as you're passing by the gate numbers. You can like A35 or A whatever it is, or depending on the airport, however the numbers are, you can actually get an idea of the gate numbers as you're walking. And so I'll just pick a direction, go in that direction, see the numbers go up to the numbers go down. And maybe I'll cross over to the other side. Oh, maybe one side's even and one side's odd. However it is. Like each airport tends to have its own system for how gates are laid out. And so I'll do that. And I find that for me, at least, like that works pretty well. And like exiting, that's always pretty easy too. I just kind of like, there's a bunch of people getting off the plane. They're generally all going in one direction, getting off. Some of them, of course, are going to a gate, but probably a lot of them are actually going to an exit of some kind. So generally pretty easy in terms of that as well.
Yeah.
And so for me at least, that's what I do. And then as I get closer, if I want to confirm, then I just ask somebody at the gate itself or whatever it is. Another thing I might do is on the plane itself, maybe I'll just start having a chat with someone, and that way if I do need to get to a layover or something, I figure out where they're going, and if they're going in the general direction, I'll just, see if I can just tag along with them or whatever.
Yeah.
But no, I generally don't really request the airport assistance. I find it kind of worthless. They did have, and maybe still do have, this TSA Cares, so it's kind of interesting, where they have a TSA agent that will meet you, kind of meet you at the terminal, whenever you arrive, and they will guide you through security and can often help out to the gate, and you can schedule time with them, and then those tend to be more reliable than the airline agents. So there's that, and also depending on, like, if you have certain kind of credit card or something like that, they actually have this service where they will and it's for everyone. Anyone can use the service. Basically, they meet you at the airport and they walk through the airport with you. It's kind of interesting too. So those are options, but I don't know. I don't really have much luck with the gate agents. And even if they are there, then I end up getting into an argument with them about whether or not I should use the wheelchair.
Yeah, that's a thing.
So there's always that. Then, of course, we have the IRAs of the world. And for navigating airports, those can work pretty well. with some exceptions.
Yeah.
And I mean, the airport has to generally have a pretty decent cell signal. If the airport doesn't have a good cell signal, then that's going to be a struggle. And so yeah, you have to be in an airport that has pretty good cell reception. And unfortunately, that's not always the case. And sorry, Kurt, but T-Mobile seems to be the worst at airports.
I mean, fair.
In my experience, anyway, it seems to be the worst. Verizon and AT&T are actually upgrading a lot of airports, or have done so, and they've added internal cell sites. It's not always for all airports, you know. Some of them might be, one or the other might be the worst, but in my experience, at least, T-Mobile's pretty bad. Another thing is that you have to try to get them to not use their maps. You know, a lot of times they like to look at their map and not really pay attention to what the cameras see.
Yeah. Yep.
And that can be really difficult as well if they think that something is there that isn't actually there. Or
Yeah.
in my case, I used them once because I was testing them out and I wanted to get to a train station that I knew was in the airport, and they told me the closest one was 20 miles away, and they wanted to get me an Uber. And I kept insisting that it wasn't, and yeah, so I mean, I don't tend to bother wasting my time with these apps. Personally, if I'm going to use an app, I'll just use the Voice or some other OCR app, and I find that I have much more productive luck with them. It can get a little bit confusing with those apps because, of course, no matter which direction you look, you'll probably see a sign that says exit with an arrow pointing in a certain direction. And, of course, those apps don't really, you know, identify the arrows or the lines or whatever pointing in that direction.
Yeah.
So that can be a little bit confusing, but generally, at least for reading out the gates and the concourse numbers and letters and all that, those work pretty well. So
Yeah, I've actually found airports are not nearly. I mean, they're big, right? So you have to like budget time.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people overcomplicate them. Like, I tend to get lost more in big open spaces that don't have a lot of people in them. Airports, it's harder to get lost because they're like little hallways. There's a ton of people to ask what's around, and there's usually a really structured pattern of how things are set up.
yeah, you know, the ones that I have a struggle with are the rings. The airports that are like rings, the terminals that are circular rings.
Oh, sure.
And then there's like one little exit or entrance in and out.
Yeah, no, that's a
and,
thing.
And just like I've spent, I forget what airport it was, that's kind of laid out that way. And I've spent a long time just walking around pretty much in a circle. And I knew I was walking around in a circle. It's not like I didn't know this, but I was trying to find the exit.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's that. But yeah, I agree. They're generally not overly complicated. There are some that are certainly more complicated than others. I'm not really a huge fan of O'Hare.
I've never done O'Hare.
Yeah, not a huge fan of that. Los
I've seen
Angeles
some that are
Airport
really
can be a little
big.
bit, it's not so bad, but it can be a little bit crazy just because you kind of have to go outside and
Yeah.
to go to different terminals, you have to go outside and get on a shuttle. And I mean, so that there's that if you're transferring through LAX. Minneapolis is not bad. Denver is really easy.
Yes.
I find Denver pretty easy. It's big, it's spaced out, but it's pretty easy to navigate.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah.
Atlanta.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think Atlanta's too bad.
No, it's just big.
Yeah, it's
That-
big, but I don't
That's
think
been
it's
my
too bad at all.
experience with, like, you know, people have told me, like, Atlanta and, like, JFK and these airports are so frustrating. It's like, they're just really large, and you just have to, you know, ride a train between terminals or whatever, and it's big, and so it's kind of annoying that way, but I've never found an airport where it's, like, really, really complicated. I've just found somewhere it's really large.
I actually find traversing through an airport a lot easier with a cane than a dog. And I
Yeah.
know some dog users will kind of disagree on that. But I ran into a few problems with airports. So one is the really slick floors, depending on if they're carpeted or not. But if they're not carpeted, the dog starts pulling and they're literally dancing on the floor because their paws are just slipping on the tile. Another is the dog's propensity for most dogs to walk on the left.
Oh.
And in an airport, you've got a bunch of people and carts and luggage and everything else, and they're walking on the right side.
Yep.
And you're walking on the left against traffic, and that's really, really annoying. Can you get the dog to walk on the right? Yeah, but then you're struggling, and if you're carrying bags or anything like that, it's just a struggle. And I don't like that. Also, just finding openings in general is kind of harder with a dog. Dogs, in my experience, also don't do very well at picking the right, like if you have the walkways or even the escalators, they'll tend to walk up to one because it looks like it's, stairs, or it looks like that's something that you want to be on, but it's not necessarily the one going in the right direction.
They try to make you go up the down.
Right. You can figure that out. Just reach over, touch it. You can figure that out easily enough. But, I mean, if that's the case, then you might as well use a cane.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't really find it. And plus, just the headaches of having to carry extra stuff and having to deal with the extra forms. It's just getting harder, and that's one reason that I will not be getting another dog. Because I don't want to deal with the inconveniences of it. And I find that it's just a lot more of an annoyance. And I find
Fair enough.
airports are stressful enough as it is. Also, I can't really go through the body scanners with a dog, and so that delays things more because now I have to go through the metal detectors and I have to get my hands swabbed, and in some instances go through go to secure rooms to actually get patted down, and the dog has to get patted down, and it's just a complete annoyance that I just don't want to deal with anymore. So it's something to think about. I know a lot of people do travel with dogs, and they do just fine. But for me, those are pretty big annoyances, really, that I just don't want to deal with.
Fair enough.
Let's look at the comments. I think we've gone on a while.
Yeah.
Let's see. Tedros can't import citations from other sites. Why not? I mean, if your professor, teacher, someone says you can't and you do it anyway, how are they going to know that you didn't? They're interested in the content. I mean, they might say don't do it, but who knows who actually would know if you did or didn't?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you're just copying the information and pasting it. He also asks, is the free Iris service assistance at airports available only for 5 minutes? No. If they offer the free service, it's available throughout the time that you're there. So, no, it's not at every airport, but yes, they offer it. It's available for as long as you need to. Well, maybe they have some time limit, but it's not 5 minutes. So, that is that. I don't think we have anything else.
Okay.
Let's look at the poll. Oh, Kurt, well, I guess you get to decide. We have a 50% on
Oh, I get to
skydiving
decide.
and 50% on no. So,
I mean, if I get to decide, I'm going again.
yep, so I guess you get to decide. Our listeners have decided that you get to decide.
Thank you, listeners.
So we'll go ahead and end the poll. And yeah, if you like this stream, feel free to hit the like button, share it out with your pals. I would like to get any kind of views or thoughts on the whole adventuring or traveling or anything else. If you want to come on and talk about it, or if you want to leave your comments in the chat, do that. I'll definitely appreciate it. We'll read those out. I want to thank everybody for popping on. We had quite a number of people watching today's stream.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Kurt, if you do go skydiving again, please make sure to add me to your life insurance.
Maybe you should jump with
on
me.
Earth. I jump with you.
Yeah.
Huh. Should I bring my dog? Do you think the dog would jump too?
Oh, oh, that poor pooch.
That poor pooch. Do they make doggy chutes? They must, because the military dogs jump. So
They do?
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense. I just haven't thought of that. That's fascinating.
Maybe we'll look into that. But no,
Yeah.
that would be fun to go. We'll have to plan that out. I think I'd want to go live though when we do that. We'll be
Oh, yeah.
live on Restream. Hey,
Yeah, that
sorry
would be
guys, here's
great.
all this wind.
Try
Hear
and
a bunch of
do a
wind,
demo
and then
while
after
you're
a while,
in free
oh,
fall.
it's so peaceful. Hello, Kurt. What are we going to talk about for today's podcast while we're shooting down?
Try to read the news.
Right. Yeah, let's read the news. I'll carry my braille display along. Oops, the thing fell out of my hand. Ah! I wonder if a braille display company would give us any kind of, warranty claim for a braille display that fell out of your hand while you were skydiving. I hear the orbits are really durable. Maybe they might survive the fall.
Ooh.
I don't know. Anyway, thank you all for being here with us. Hit the like button, share it, subscribe if you haven't done that. Share it out on Snapchat and Tweet, everywhere else. Definitely appreciate you making us part of your day. And we'll see you next week. Thanks, Kurt.
Yeah,
And
cheers,
we'll see you
everybody.
next week, too.